Hi, welcome to Listen2Riches. The book I'm going to decode for you today is called The Almanack of Naval Ravikant. This book also has a subtitle, A Guide to Wealth and Happiness. Of course, we all know that it's a bit unrealistic to expect to gain wealth and happiness solely from a book of 100,000 words or so. However, there is a reason why I believe this book is well worth deciphering, and that reason is the author himself, Naval Ravikant. So, who is Naval Ravikant? Well, he is an angel investor in Silicon Valley and also an entrepreneur. Born in 1974, he's not very old in age, but in Silicon Valley, his stature is quite high. He has invested in and co-founded over 100 companies, including well-known ones like Twitter and Uber, among others. Moreover, he has a wealth of entrepreneurial experience, having started dozens of companies, but I won't delve into that here. In essence, he is a typical success story. However, when you finish reading this book, you may find that among all his roles, being a businessman is actually not at the forefront. In fact, there's not much in this book about how to make money. So, what does he talk about in this book? What is the main content? Let's start by looking at Naval's other roles. First and foremost, Naval is a reader. He has read many books and has unique insights into learning. For example, he doesn't chase bestsellers, avoids joining any so-called book clubs, and doesn't seek social validation through reading. He emphasizes the quality of reading rather than quantity. He believes that quantity is a false proposition because the more extensive your knowledge, the more independently you think, and you end up reading more books that you can't possibly finish. Therefore, he suggests focusing on new concepts that reflect trends rather than deliberately trying to finish a certain number of books. Furthermore, he also discusses how to determine if you truly understand knowledge. He believes that if you can explain knowledge to a child, and the child understands it, then you genuinely understand it. Secondly, Naval is someone who understands life. His definition of retirement is not sacrificing today for an imaginary tomorrow, but living in the moment, which is the true definition of retirement. Regarding how much money is enough, he believes that the key is to eliminate greed for money, not relying on willpower but setting hard boundaries for your actions, without increasing your material standard of living even if you earn more money. Naval also emphasizes the meaning of a resume. He believes that a resume is not just about education and work experience, but a collection of the pain a person has endured. His perspective is unique, and he seems to have a deeper understanding of the essence of life. Naval is also known as an internet celebrity, and his quotes are widely circulated among young people, especially in his speeches, where they are often quoted. Compared to the grandiose speeches of other successful individuals, Naval has a more low-key approach. This book is worth spending half an hour to listen to, especially when other people's words of wisdom have already been exhausted. Naval's words may be more valuable. As for the book itself, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have a clear storyline. It's essentially a collection of Naval's personal insights. If we were to abstract a structure, it might deviate from the true essence of the book. Therefore, from a perspective of personal experiences, let me tell you about the most interesting aspects of this book. First and foremost, I want to emphasize that the reading experience of the entire book is outstanding. If you found my explanation intriguing, I strongly recommend that you immerse yourself in reading the original book with this enthusiasm. Now, let's officially open this book. Upon opening the book, your initial impression might be that it resembles a life memo. Why do I say this? Because every sentence can stand alone as a profound saying. To draw an imperfect analogy, many of the sentences, taken in isolation, resemble the kind of timeless wisdom one accumulates throughout their life. Additionally, this book covers various topics related to wealth, life, happiness, and more, as if it condenses a multitude of life's questions. Despite these seemingly scattered contents, after completing the entire book, you may find yourself experiencing a vague sense of enlightenment. Regardless of your current stage in life, you can sense a common feeling, that the book subtly conveys a fundamental truth about life. This truth can be summarized in one sentence: life's essence is not addition, but multiplication. What does this sentence mean? In the past, we often regarded life as an addition problem. Why is that? It's because every day, we accumulate memories and add value to our lives. This seems like a continuous process of addition to life. However, Naval Ravikant has a different perspective. He believes that life is more like a multiplication problem. Every small action you take now is like multiplying by a significant factor. The result of the whole equation grows exponentially. This might sound a bit abstract, so let me give you an example. Just like investments, when you make the right small decisions, the returns you gain can far exceed your expectations. This doesn't only apply to investments but also to many aspects of life. Why does this happen? It's not too hard to understand, actually. The truth of the world is like a complex network with different levels intertwined. Each level offers access to different resources. So, when you elevate your skills by one level, you gain access to a higher level of resources. Consequently, more and better resources get drawn into your orbit. This effect applies not only to investments but also to many areas of life. This reminds me of a specific example. Imagine you are a watchmaker. At your current skill level, you might only produce gears of ordinary precision and receive regular orders. However, if you can produce slightly more precise gears, you'll enter a higher level resource network. Well-known brands and even luxury brands might approach you for collaborations. The entire brand's value will significantly increase, not just the quantity of orders. This is the amplification effect of improving your skills and entering a higher level resource network, which can often far exceed initial expectations. In this book, Naval gives another intriguing example. He talks about what kind of returns you'd receive if you were the world's most exceptional deep-sea diver, capable of reaching places no one else can. In conventional thinking, if you dive deeper and complete more challenging tasks than others, you might earn more medals or win more competitions. However, in reality, the rewards you can obtain go far beyond that. For instance, imagine there's a sunken ship in the deep sea, loaded with treasures in the form of gold and silver. In such a scenario, while others can only look longingly at the treasure, you have the opportunity to directly participate in the treasure hunt. You see, as long as you slightly improve your capabilities, you can connect with higher level, superior resources that others cannot access. This concept is somewhat familiar. It's like a high school entrance examination in some ways. During these exams, teachers often say, "One more point can make a world of difference." This essentially tells us that life operates like multiplication. Through small efforts and incremental improvements, the value returns don't grow linearly but exponentially, at a faster pace. Following this line of thought, you'll discover that the entire book subtly conveys a message: never underestimate those small efforts. We often fall into the fallacy of thinking that to achieve big things, we need to exert monumental efforts, make resolute decisions, and seize grand opportunities. Consequently, when faced with colossal tasks, we tend to develop a fear of adversity and ultimately struggle to take the first step. However, this book tells us not to underestimate those small efforts in front of us. If you're willing to put in just a bit more effort than others, life, through the compounding effect, will yield greater value. It's akin to a concept discussed in recent years called the margin of excellence. This concept suggests that when others are complacent and neglectful, your diligent approach can lead to significant rewards. Let me share a short story about diamonds. We've all heard the advertising slogan, "A diamond is forever." This slogan was first coined by De Beers, a giant in the diamond industry. The company has been around for over 100 years since 1888. However, in recent years, a new player in the diamond industry emerged, Lucara. Within just a few years, Lucara achieved remarkable success, disrupting the entire industry. They unearthed the world's second, third, and fourth largest natural diamonds, all of which occurred after 2015. Keep in mind that before this, there hadn't been a similar discovery in 110 years. All these achievements stem from a minor change they made, a new mining tool. This company innovated slightly in their tools, reducing the likelihood of damage. This allowed them to discover 3 colossal diamonds, cementing their position in the diamond industry. When we talk about the compounding effect, we cannot overlook the concept of compounding, something that investors like Naval Ravikant particularly emphasize, as highlighted in this book. The book places special emphasis on the compounding effect. If you have some understanding of finance, you are likely aware of how crucial compounding is. For instance, suppose you invest $10 now and earn a 10% return annually. In the first year, you have $11, in the second year, $12, and in the third year, $13.30. It may seem like modest growth, but if you calculate it with a 30% compounding annually for 30 years, how much would you have? Not just 10 or 20 times your initial investment, but thousands of times. You would have more than $26,000. As you can see, the returns can be quite substantial. In fact, it's not just wealth. Naval believes that almost all returns in life come from compounding. Whether it's in relationships, love, health, or habits, the concept of compounding can be applied. For example, a company currently has 100 customers, and customers are growing at a rate of 20% per month. After a while, this company might have millions of customers. Another example is developing a skill, practicing it consistently every day, even if it's just for 10 or 20 minutes. In the future, this skill might become your side hustle. By maintaining this positive accumulation rate, the returns it eventually brings could be astonishing. Let's do a simple calculation. Suppose you improve by 1% every day. Then, 1.01 to the power of 365 represents your total progress for a year. What's that total? The answer is 37.8. In other words, as long as you're willing to put in just a bit more effort and improve by 1%, and you persist for a while, the returns you gain might far exceed your imagination. So, the key message remains the same: never underestimate those small efforts. Speaking of life as a multiplication problem and the importance of compounding, it's crucial to mention the significance of fundamental mathematics, especially in the field of learning. In Naval's perspective, almost all successful individuals have a strong foundation in mathematics, including geometry, trigonometry, calculus, and more. If you are a humanities student, you can set aside some of these areas, but algorithms, probability, and statistics are fundamental mathematical knowledge you must diligently study. They make you more sensitive to numbers, compounding, and multiplier effects. Continuing with Naval, one of the most important insights he brings, as we mentioned earlier, is that life is a multiplication problem, and you should not underestimate the power of small efforts. Now, let's explore other insights this book offers. Besides being a connoisseur of life and career, Naval is also a typical lifelong learner, a true bookworm. He loves reading and cherishes learning. Therefore, let's delve into Naval's insights on learning and reading. Naval once said, "Reading is my first love." He emphasizes that reading is the best way to build a mental model. Since reading is so crucial, how should we choose books? How should we read them? And how can we determine if we genuinely understand a book? We will address these questions. Firstly, according to Naval, reading is about competing with yourself, not with others. Don't compete to see who can read faster or read more, because such comparisons are often meaningless. Naval emphasizes that high-quality books require slow, deliberate reading and digestion. The goal of reading is not to show off but to cultivate your intellectual world, make yourself a more thoughtful thinker, and develop an independent worldview. Therefore, Naval believes that reading is not about quantity but about quality. For instance, if you're reading a book and suddenly feel it's familiar, like you've read it before, you should continue reading because this feeling indicates that your brain is ready for a reread. When facing a plethora of different books, how should we choose our reading materials? Naval provides some advice. Firstly, he suggests starting with classic works, especially books in the fields of mathematics, science, or philosophy. You might feel apprehensive when the subject of mathematics comes up, but its importance cannot be underestimated because it cultivates our thinking and makes us more rigorous. Additionally, in this age of information overload, possessing mathematical literacy prevents us from being misled by false data and enables us to make more accurate judgments about facts. Secondly, when selecting reading materials, apart from prioritizing books in the field of mathematics, Naval also recommends a specific approach: read classic works. If you want to understand evolution, start with Darwin's writings. If you want to grasp macroeconomics, begin with the works of Adam Smith. In summary, start with the early classic works. This is because, in Naval's view, the value of reading is not evenly distributed, and the order of your reading largely determines your way of thinking. For instance, in the early stages of your reading journey, starting with classic and excellent works lays a solid foundation for your knowledge base and provides robust support for deeper explorations in the future. Naval Ravikant believes that early reading is akin to the initial programming of your entire knowledge system. The books you start with will influence your initial way of thinking, and once that way of thinking is established, it can be challenging to change. Therefore, your initial choices in reading should focus on timeless classics, those books that have stood the test of time and scrutiny. Instead of rushing to read popular or new books, lay a solid foundation for your knowledge by delving into these enduring masterpieces. Earlier, we discussed how to choose books, and in summary, the core principle is to read as many enduring and outstanding works as possible. This is because your initial reading choices will have the most significant impact on your thinking. This process is somewhat similar to falling in love. People often say that your first love shapes your view of romantic relationships. Reading might be similar. What you read first often shapes your approach to reading, thinking, and your perspective on knowledge. Now, after understanding how to select books, let's continue exploring specific reading methods. Naval's approach to reading can be summarized in one sentence. The essence of reading is not to create obstacles for yourself but to find paths. What does this mean? In simple terms, many people tend to be too strict when reading, hoping to be fully absorbed in a book from the very beginning and treating every sentence as critically important. Failing to understand a book, for them, is a disservice to the book and a desecration of knowledge. Therefore, no matter how difficult a book is or how much time it takes, they will read every page without missing a word. Naval believes that this approach is like building a wall in front of yourself, turning reading into a challenging and high-difficulty task. However, the essence of reading is not about setting up barriers. According to Naval, the essence of reading is to find paths for yourself. If a book is challenging to comprehend, that's okay. You can temporarily set it aside and read other books that pique your interest and are easier to understand. When reading, follow your instincts and choose books that you can easily grasp. This process is akin to navigating through a forest of knowledge. The most crucial aspect is not being eager to knock down the tree blocking your way but finding another route when encountering obstacles. This approach turns reading into a pleasurable activity, free from the struggle with your own emotions, making reading an enjoyable pursuit. Continuing this line of thought, reading is not about creating obstacles for yourself but about finding paths. As you progress along this path, you will open doors to a unique world. This book offers many insights into how to choose, read, and think, and through reading, you can cultivate your distinctive way of thinking and knowledge structure. That is the true essence of reading. Now let's address the final question. How do you know you've truly understood a book? Naval provides a straightforward criterion. It's not about whether you can recite the entire book by heart, but whether you can explain it in a way that a child can understand. If a child can grasp it, you've truly understood it. Why this criterion? Consider what children represent. They embody the most straightforward values and the purest interests of humanity. Therefore, if a child can understand, it means you've grasped the most fundamental content of the book. However, beyond the method, the most crucial factor is your willingness. Naval emphasizes the importance of reading for individuals. He believes that the difference between people lies not in whether they have received education but in whether they enjoy reading. In Naval's view, reading has an enormous impact on one's life. This book contains many insights about reading, learning, and life. If you're interested in these topics or want to consciously collect some nuggets of wisdom, I highly recommend reading the original book. The book is an easy and enjoyable read, and you can flip through its pages during your daily commute. In summary, we've discussed how to choose books and how to engage in effective reading. Furthermore, this book will instill in you a strong sense of reevaluating what true intelligence is. We might have previously thought that intelligence meant having a high IQ, always making wise decisions, something that was innate. However, by studying Naval's life, you'll discover the real essence of intelligence. Despite his humble beginnings, coming from a poor immigrant single-parent family, he eventually became a well-known success in Silicon Valley. This wasn't necessarily due to extraordinary intellectual advantages or more meticulous consideration for others. In fact, it was because he consistently maintained good habits, including habits of learning, handling success and failure, and more. He persevered with these excellent habits, and while they might not bring immediate massive success, they gradually made him slightly better in various aspects, such as being honest, straightforward, and optimistically positive. These habits may seem simple, but long-term adherence will make you slightly better in many areas. As mentioned earlier, the compounding of time brings rewards. So, returning to the previous question, what is intelligence? Intelligence isn't something you're born with, it's a collection of numerous excellent habits. Lastly, I'd like to share a quote from Naval in this book. 99% of effort is wasted. At first, this might sound harsh. Why would effort be wasted? However, this statement doesn't imply that effort is entirely futile. Instead, it conveys that all efforts will eventually pay off in some other way in the future. Just like a line from the movie Casablanca. Your essence carries the roads you've traveled, the books you've read, and the people you've loved. Yes, you've read many books, and you might not remember their specific contents, but the principles from those books might have become ingrained in your way of thinking, becoming a part of you, helping you better understand the world. Life is finite, and we need to identify the most crucial 1% in our lives and pursue them wholeheartedly. This concludes today's content. Congratulations on finishing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to this channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom with action to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next episode.